All right, here are those examples for dividing rationals that you should have been trying on your own. So for the first one here, we're going to factor the numerator, and that is a GCF first of all, so I'm going to take that GCF out of 4, and that's going to leave me with an x squared minus 4, which is a difference of two perfect squares. So this is going to factor as 4 times an x minus 2 and an x plus 2. Remember the sum and the difference of the roots there to form the conjugates. And then the denominator stays as an x plus 1. And then I'm going to be multiplying this by and the reciprocal of this. So this is going to come down here into the denominator, and this is going to come up here into the numerator. So first off, I'm going to take out a factor of 8 from each of these, which will leave me with an x squared minus 4. And so this is going to look like 8, and those are the difference of squares again, so x plus 2 and an x minus 2 is how that'll factor. And then the denominator here, which will be in the numerator, is going to factor as an x plus 1 and an x plus 8, since how the factors of 8 that sum to 9 are 8 and 1. Now I'll get out my green pen and I'll cancel. So this 4 and this 8 have a common factor of 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then one of these will go with one of those. One of those will go with one of those. That x plus 1 will go with that x plus 1. And that will simply leave us with, and in the numerator we multiply all the way across, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times x plus 8. And then in the denominator, 1 times 2 times 1 times 1 leaves us with 2. And that's our final answer. Remember, don't try to cancel this 2 with this 8. This is not a factor, right? That's a sum. There's no canceling in addition. And whether you're in an intermediate algebra or a basic algebra text, that's what your answer would look like. Make sure you didn't cancel, though. All right, now looking at our second example here, a little bit more complicated. We have nothing in common all the way across. There are 4 terms, so I'm going to do this by grouping. So out of the first 2, I'm going to take a 2x, and that's going to leave me with an x, and then minus a 2y. And then out of the second 2, this is a negative, this is a positive, so I'm going to take a negative, and I'm going to take a y, which will leave me with a positive x and a negative 2y. And then from those I can see that I have that binomial that is the GCF. So that GCF I'm going to write down 2 minus 2y. Make sure you don't square that. Remember, it's a GCF. You write the GCF down. And then out of the first term I'm left with a 2x minus, out of the second term I'm left with a y. In the denominator, I simply have a GCF of 5, so I write that GCF, and then I take it out of my first term, I'm left with a 5. I take it out of my second term, I'm left with a 7, and I'm done. Now multiplying that by the reciprocal, so the numerator comes down into the denominator. So I see that I have a leading coefficient that's not 1, but this is 1 down here. So I have a 2x here, and I have an x here. And then the y's just hang around in here, and I need a positive, so I'm going to have a positive here and a negative here. This makes a 2xy, this makes a minus xy, and that gives me my 1 in the middle. Now this one I'm going to factor and put into my numerator because the reciprocal, right? So I need the factors of 7 that give me a difference of 6. So I have a y with a 7, and I have a y with a 1. And then I have a negative, so I have 1 positive, 1 negative, and I need a positive 6, so positive 7 and a negative 1. Now I can start with my canceling. So I see 2x minus y here, canceling with that 2x minus y there. The y plus 7 here, canceling with the y plus 7 there. And I see nothing else, so I'm ready to go ahead and rewrite on this one. So x minus 2y, and then times the y minus 1, and then we have over, and that's 5 times x plus y. Now again, intermediate algebra text, that's where they'd leave it. Beginning algebra, you might see it multiplied out. In this video, I don't have time to multiply out the numerator, I don't think here, so I'm not even going to try. And so you should do that just as an exercise if you are, again, dealing with a text that isn't multiplying them out.